Hey guys, Trainer DC here, coming at you with another video. Prior to the announcement on Pokemon Day for Pokemon Winds and Waves, we had a tweet from Ball Guy on February 24th, so 3 days before Pokemon Day, saying that before this week's announcements, let's take a moment to look forward to the next mainline project, Project Karasu, and he has a picture of Murkrow alongside with it. If you guys don't know who Ball Guy is seemingly a credible leaker within the community, as he's correctly posted things about the franchise in the past, such as the starter Pokemon for Pokemon Winds and Waves. If you don't know what I'm talking about, card above to that video. But nevertheless, he's now saying that the next mainline Pokemon game is going to be Project Karasu with a picture of Murkrow. I find this to be rather fascinating for a couple of reasons. Number one, we had the Terror Leak, obviously, and I said this in my video going over the initial impressions of Pokemon Winds and Waves and the information that we got, but obviously things changed from the Terror Leak. There are things that changed within Winds and Waves from what we read in the Terror Leak, card above to that video if you don't know what I'm talking about. But obviously within the Terror Leak, it said that the next Pokemon game after Winds and Waves, Project Gaia, was going to be Project Ringo, which is Pokemon Legends Galar. Well, if we look at what Ball Guy is saying here, he's saying that Project Karasu is the next mainline Pokemon game after Winds and Waves. And by the way, this is confirmed not to be the DLC for Winds and Waves. This is a full-on game. So what exactly is going on here? I think what we're looking at here is Legends Galar Project Ringo was most likely canceled by the Pokemon Company. This isn't something that's outlandish to be saying, as we know this happens time and time again within the Pokemon franchise. For example, with Pokemon Legends ZA, when that game was first being pitched, it was originally supposed to be Pokemon Legends Johto, taking place, I believe, 1,000 years in the past, where we were going to be the first ever Pokemon trainers. Card above to that video if you don't know what I'm talking about. So I think the fact that Project Karasu is now going to be our next mainline Pokemon game means that Project Ringo, Pokemon Legends Galar, has been canceled by the Pokemon Company, which, to be honest, I'm not all that surprised for that to be the case, because I kind of felt like Legends Galar was always a weird next step for Pokemon Legends. I just feel like Legends Galar is just really coming out of left field as much as Legends ZA did. Obviously, the two Legends games that everyone really wants to see next are Legends Johto and Legends Unova. I would argue right now that the community really wants Legends Johto more than they want Legends Unova. So the fact of the matter that Legends Galar has been canceled for another project is not all that surprising to me. However, what exactly is this next project going to be? And that's really the big question, as there's no indication outside of the project title as to what this could possibly be outside of the picture of Murkrow. The picture of Murkrow might mean absolutely nothing in terms of what this next game would mean, because if you translate Karasu from Japanese to English, it actually translates to crow. So he might just be showing a picture of Murkrow because Murkrow is the crow Pokemon, and this next Pokemon game is Project Crow, Project Karasu. It might be as simple as that. Or on the flip side, it might be that this has something to do with the Johto region. It might be that we're going to get some sort of Johto revisit next, whether that be some sort of Heart Gold Soul Silver remake, whether that be Pokemon Legends Johto, or something else entirely. That remains to be seen. But if I had to guess right now, I'm gonna say that Project Karasu has nothing to do with Johto. I mean, okay, it might have something to do with Johto, but I'm not going to say that because it's called Project Crow, it's definitely going to be tied into Johto, because if you look at the Pokemon project names from the past, they typically have nothing to do with the games that they're representing. For example, Project Ringo is Legends Galar, Project Seed is the open world MMO that's supposed to be set in Japan, Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, and Sinnoh respectively alongside Kitakami, Project Gaia, Winds and Waves, Project Ikkaku, Pokemon Legends ZA, Sankaku, Mega Dimension, Sudachi, the DLC for Scarlet and Violet, Titan, Scarlet and Violet, Hayabusa, Busu. Pokemon Legends Arceus, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, Delphi. Pokemon Sword and Shield was Orion. None of those have anything to do with the games that I just mentioned. Not even to mention that Project Beluga was Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. So typically the code names for these games have absolutely nothing to do with the games themselves. So I'm not going to sit here and say to you because Project Karasu, Project Crow is called Project Crow when the Crow Pokemon comes from Gen 2 Johto means that we're going to get a Johto game next. I'm not going to sit here and say that, although that could be the case. It could be that Project Karasu is indeed a Johto game, but I'm not going to say because it's called Project Crow and the Crow Pokemon and Murkrow comes from Gen 2 means that it's Gen 2. That's just not going to be the case, most likely. So what is this game, and why exactly was Legends Galar Project Ringo canceled? And I think that Project Ringo, from what I saw from it, and again, check out that video if you haven't seen it, but from what I've seen from it, I didn't exactly love the premise of there's no Pokeballs and we're basically commanding a horde of Pokemon with a lot of them using AI to attack the Pokemon that we're fighting, the boss fights that we're fighting. That didn't really sound fun to me. That just sounded boring, to be honest. I wasn't in love with the idea, so I feel like probably what ended up happening here is they were like, okay, well, Project Ringo's cool, but maybe we'll do that another day. Instead, let's do this other idea for the next Legends game, assuming that this even is a Legends game, because this could be something else entirely. There also is the possibility that Project Ringo just got delayed to an unknown date. It's not coming out in 2027 or later anymore. We're going to have Project Karasu come out instead, and then Ringo's going to come out later. It could be, potentially, that Project Seed, the MMO, got canceled, and instead of getting the MMO and Galar, we're going to continue to get Legends Galar, but at a later date, and we're now getting Project Karasu instead of Project Seed. Really, it's unknown what this means, and it's unknown when this game is even going to come out, as Pokemon Winds and Waves isn't coming out till 2027. What does that mean for the DLC for Winds and Waves? What does that mean for Legends Galar? What does that mean for Project Seed, the MMO? What does this mean for Gen 11? This is a topic that I want to dive into in another video, but the focal point of today's video is that apparently Project Karasu is now the next mainline Pokemon game instead of Project Ringo, which most likely means that Project Ringo Pokemon Legends Galar has been canceled. And if that is indeed the case, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that Project Karasu is the next Legends game within the Legends series. But what form will that exactly take? Will it be a Legends Johto? Will it be a Legends Unova? Will it be a Legends Kanto potentially? I recently made a video discussing my ideas for Legends Kanto, how it could take place 100 or so years in the future with a destroyed Kanto region, which oddly enough is what Pokopia is. If you guys don't know, Pokopia, the Pokemon spinoff that's coming out on March 5th, apparently takes place within a destroyed pallet town. So is that them potentially building up and building towards a destroyed Kanto region that we're going to get to explore in a future Legends game? That's a possibility as well, although that just might be me being a little too hopeful that my idea comes to pass, that former leak from 2018 comes to pass, because I love the idea of seeing a Pokemon region change over time in the future and us getting to explore said region. But nevertheless, all we know today, all we can know for certain is that Project Karasu is going to be the next mainline Pokemon game instead of Project Ringo being Pokemon Legends Galar. As to what Project Karasu is, that remains to be seen, but we'll have to wait and see what happens from here on out. I'm sure there'll be more details about this project at a later date, but for now, the focal point is obviously Pokemon Winds and Waves when that comes out in 2027. Anyways, let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think about all this. Are you guys bummed that seemingly Project Ringo Legends Galar has been canceled and now the next mainline game is going to be Project Karasu? What do you think Project Karasu is going to be? Do you think it's going to be the next game in the Legends series taking place in Johto, Unova, Kanto, or maybe somewhere else? Or do you think this is a completely different Pokemon project, a completely different Pokemon game? Maybe it's a traditional Pokemon remake made by Game Freak. They haven't done one of those in a while since Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire in 2014. So really, who knows what this is? If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to see more content like this from Trainer DC. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.